President Cyril Ramaphosa has taken the first step in the process of appointing a new Director of Public Prosecutions in time for the 90 days deadline set by the Constitutional Court in August. He has invited legal organizations and independent public institutions to assist in identifying and selecting individuals for consideration for the position of NDPP. Minister of Energy Jeff Radebe will be chairing the panel, which will be identifying and selecting 3 potential candidates for the position. In August, the ConCourt ruled that the appointment of Shaun Abrahams as the NPA head was illegal and subsequently said the former head Mxolisi Mnqasana's payout after he was fired by former President Jacob Zuma was also unconstitutional. The president says the process will take place in consultation with Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development Michael Masuta. Among those organizations that have been tasked with making recommendations are the Law Society of South Africa, the Auditor General and the South African Human Rights Commission. Now, for more on this development, we joined on the line by Presidential Spokesperson Khusela Diko. A very good morning to you, Khusela, and thank you for making the time. Now, tell us, what's the President hoping to achieve by appointing this panel?
Good morning, Desiree, and good morning to your listeners, and thank you so much for inviting us. The President has looked at the issue of the appointment of the NDPP and has felt that it's important that the process is inclusive and as transparent as possible. In the recent appointments, we would have seen a number of issues that would have been raised by civil society, that would have been raised by the law profession itself, as to how the former NDPPs were appointed, and the President has felt it's important that we broaden this round of appointments. But linked to that, Desiree, the NDPP occupies an apex position in our law enforcement system, being the most senior prosecutor. It's important that they also enjoy the confidence and the support of their peers. Hence, then, the organizations that the President has invited to form part of this panel that will system identify and select candidates to be interviewed for the position of the NDPP includes the Law Society, like you have said, the General Counsel of the Bar. He has also included the South African Human Rights Commission and the Auditor General, just to ensure that it is as comprehensive as possible. The former Minister of Justice, Mr. Radebe, who would have had extensive experience in that area, has been requested to chair the panel, and the current Minister of Justice, Minister Michael Masuta, will then be in consultation with the President once that process has been completed for the identification of the new NDPP.
With just about 30 days left to the deadline, how thorough can the process be?
Well, the process is expected to be extremely thorough. The 90 days that have been given to the President were 90 court days, so it is not calendar days. In terms of the calculations that the President is relying on, is that the new NDPP should have been appointed by the 19th of December. So we are confident that there is sufficient time to do a thorough and decent job. And I think it's important to also highlight that the Constitution, I think it's Section 179, gives the President the prerogative to appoint the NDPP. The President has not reneged on that, nor is he outsourcing that responsibility, but he is undertaking an inclusive process to ensure that when he ultimately exercises his discretion on the appointment of the NDPP, as wide a consultation process would have been undertaken as possible.
Let's talk about that prerogative that the President has. Does it not also give him the right to disregard the outcomes of the panel, should he wish to do so?
The decision remains that of the President. However, the President does not want, this process to have left out as many diverse views and opinions that could possibly enrich the process. The President will put forward some candidates himself, and he will also ask these panel members to identify candidates. He has said in terms of transparency, he would want interviews that are public to be held, so that as wide a variety and as consultative a process is undertaken. So he still remains the right to make the final decision as it relates to the appointment, but he will do that through a thorough consultative process.
How concerned is the President about restoring the credibility of this institution?
It is critical that the National Prosecuting Authority restores its credibility, that the integrity of the institution is unquestioned. I think you remember, Desiree, when the President delivered the State of the Nation address at the beginning of this year, these were some of the issues that he raised quite sharply to say that no effort must be spent to ensure that we restore the credibility of all state institutions, particularly the National Prosecuting Authority. It is for this reason, for example, that the President would have sent notices both to advocates Mkhobi and advocates GB regarding requesting reasons for them not to be suspended and inquiring into their fitness of office to be held. It is for this reason that the President would have welcomed the court decision as it related to the former NDPP advocate Sean Abrams, believing that it created at least an opportunity for certainty, for leadership, that all of us agree possess the qualifications and the temperament characteristics that are required for the NDPP. So the President is using this process to ensure that we get all of those back on track.
When does the panel start its work?
The invitations to panel members went out during the course of last week. They are expected to respond in the course of this week with names of representatives that will form part of the panel. And as soon as that is completed, the terms of reference have been finalized with the panel will begin its work.
Khusela, on to another unrelated matter. The President has reacted to the big story of this week, the report about what was happening at VBS Bank. Just unpack his response for us.
Well, the President did respond, I think, in an article that he would have put together for the governing party's publication, ANC Today, where he was speaking on what he believes is a regression, if I can put it like that, in our moral values as a society, which would have led even to instances where individuals would have appropriated upon themselves monies of the poor, monies of the elderly, as what happened at VBS Bank. The President has called on law enforcement to act with no fear or favor to ensure that it gets to the bottom of those allegations and that everybody who has been implicated faces the full might of the law and that ultimately those monies should be recovered. So the President stands firmly on the side of those depositors, of those small businesses, even those municipalities that would have lost funds in this particular saga, and believes that justice should be meted out. He has also dismissed reports that were in one of the Sunday papers today indicating that he would have been aware of what would have happened at VBS Bank. I think the President, then Deputy President, would have interacted with these issues, in the public domain, and he rejects with contempt any attempt to shift blame on the matter, believing that the report that was issued by Advocate Mudau must be thoroughly unpacked, and those who must face the consequences of their actions in that regard should be brought before law enforcement.
So just to close off, you say the process of appointing the NDPP will be a transparent one and citizens can be part of it?
It will be a transparent one. Citizens will participate via the representatives that have been appointed on the panel, but it will not happen behind closed doors. Restoring the integrity of the NDPP is a process that the President believes must be as inclusive and as widely consultative as possible. Hence, he is going this route.
Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Khusela Diko is the presidential spokesperson and will continue to follow that story.